Number 2, you should have D is less than 9, which would be an open circle on 9 and a line going to the left. Number 3, you should have B is greater than or equal to 4, a closed circle on 4 and a line going to the right. Number 4, you should have circled M equals a negative 10. Number 5, you should have circled Y equals a half and Y equals 0. Number 6, when you solve the inequality, you'd come up with T is less than or equal to 1.25, which means she can't tutor for the hour and a half because she can only do an hour and a quarter. Number 7, you would isolate the variable, and remember, if you multiply or divide by a negative, you have to reverse the inequality. On the first page, do I need to go over any of them? Yes. Number 4 and 5. Number 4 says this: 2m plus 18 is greater than a negative 4. When I go to solve this, I'm going to subtract 18 from both sides. I'm going to have 2m is greater than a negative 22. When I divide both sides by 2, since I'm dividing by a positive, I do not have to change my inequality symbol. M is greater than a negative 11. If you think about this on a number line, it would be an open circle on the negative 11 because it's greater than. It doesn't say that it can be equal. And because it's greater, it's going to be going to the right. In other words, everything on this side of the circle would be true. Everything on this side would be false. It said M is a negative 12. That's on the false side. I wouldn't circle it. It says M equals a negative 11. Was a negative 11 a filled-in circle? No, it was open. That's also false. It says M equals a negative 10. That's on the true side of the line. That's why the only one we circled was M equals a negative 10. Number 5, negative 6y plus 3 is greater than or equal to 0. Getting y by itself, I subtract 3 from both sides. Negative 6y is greater than or equal to a negative 3. This time I've got to divide by a negative 6. The minute I divide by a negative, my inequality has to be flipped over. Negative divided by a negative is going to make a positive, and this would be a positive 1/2. Again, if I looked at it on a number line, this time, because it can be equal, it would be a filled-in circle on 1/2. It says it's getting smaller than, so it would be going this way. This side of the line would be true. Over here would be false. So they said y equals 1. That's on the false side. I wouldn't circle it. They said y equals a half. This was a filled-in circle, so I would circle the half. And they said y equals 0. That's also on the true side, which is why 0 and a half would both be true statements. Any other questions from the first side? Let's flip it over then. Number 8. You should have S is greater than or equal to 22. A filled-in circle on 22 going to the right. Number 9. T is less than or equal to 10. A filled-in circle on 10 going to the left. Number 10. X is greater than a negative 7. An open circle on negative 7 going to the right. Number 11, M is less than 8. An open circle on 8 going to the left. 12, A is less than a negative 74. Open circle on the negative 74 going to the left. 13, T is less than 140. An open circle on 140 going to the left. 14, T is greater than or equal to 150. A closed circle on 150 going to the right. 15, G is less than a negative 18, an open circle on negative 18 going to the left. 16, Y is less than or equal to a negative 16, a closed circle on negative 16 going to the left. And number 17, A is greater than or equal to 16, a closed circle on 16 going to the right. Number 17. Negative 64. Maybe I did, but I can tell you I can go back and listen to see whether I did or not. I can tell you with number 17, probably the biggest thing that I saw happen is people got confused because there was a decimal in it. Does it matter that there's a decimal? Does it change the procedure? No. I'm going to get this variable by itself. I've got to undo addition. I undo it by subtracting. The 3.6 and the 1.2 have the same signs, so I add them together. I get a negative 4.8 is greater than or equal to a negative 0.3a. A is being multiplied by negative 0.3. I divide both sides by a negative 0.3. When I divide by a negative, my inequality flips. 0.3 is going to go into 4.8 16 times. So I have A is greater than or equal to 16. Graphically, if I was looking at 16 on a number line, it would be a filled-in circle on 16. It says A is on the larger side, so I'd be going to the right. Others that you'd like me to go over? Alexis. Number 14. Negative 25 plus t divided by 2 is greater than or equal to 50. Again, if I'm getting the variable by itself, I've got to get rid of this negative 25. I'm going to add 25 to both sides. I now have t over 2 is greater than or equal to 75. The biggest mistake that I see here is they're saying t is being divided by 2, so they want to divide 75 by 2. But if t is being divided, how do I get rid of division? Multiplication. I've got to multiply both sides by 2. Since I'm multiplying by a positive, the inequality stays the same, and this becomes 150. Graphically, 150 would be filled in on my number line. And because it's getting greater, I would be going to the right. Others that you'd like me to work out? Yes. 15. (10) plus g divided by a negative 9 greater than 12. Getting this by itself, I've got to get rid of this 10. I subtract it. I have g divided by a negative 9 is greater than 2. To get rid of division, I use multiplication. The minute I multiply by a negative, what happens to my inequality? It flips over. So g is less than a negative 18. It'd be an open circle on the negative 18 because it can't be equal. Since it's getting smaller, it'd be going to the left. Others. Once, twice. I chose this one because it has this fraction that has both a numerator and denominator in it. Instead of doing this problem in 2 steps, I'm actually going to do it in 3. It's easier to do it in 3 steps than it is 2. I still want to get this variable by itself. So the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of this negative 20. And I'm going to get rid of it by adding 20 to both sides. I now have 2/3 x is greater than 14. I'm going to get rid of the fraction in 2 steps. I'm going to get rid of the dividing by 3 by multiplying by 3. That would make these cancel out, leaving me 2x is greater than 42. 14 times 3 is 42. And I'm going to divide both sides by 2. And I'm going to get x is greater than 21.
Wait, what? I don't get it.
I'm confused on how you connect.
Okay, that's why I said I wanted to do one.
What do you do with like the last circle?
Hang on, pay attention. It does give you good instructions on how to do it, but I want you to see it. Okay. So, if I'm looking at number 10, which was here, and I got what for an answer?
21.
X is greater than 21. I'm going to take the dot that's next to number 10 and the dot that's next to that answer, x is greater than 21, and I'm going to draw a straight line using a ruler. And you'll see that it went through what?
2, 6, and 8.
It went through the center of 6 and it went through the center of E. If you've done it and it goes through more than one number and one letter, you did something wrong. Okay? You need to go back and rework it. It'll always go through exactly one number and one letter. When you get done at the bottom, where 6 is, what number are you going to put? What letter are you going to put? E. There are no spaces in it, but they do make separate words down at the bottom. So when you're looking at it, it may not look like it's making sense, but feel pretty confident that it went through one number and one letter, that you probably did that part right. If you need a ruler, there are rulers in the drawer over here by the window. I encourage you, draw lines with rulers. When you are finished with the ruler, please return it to my drawer.
You know, literally, I mean, you can be stubborn with this. Figure out the word of line and be not the number.
I don't think so.
It is possible. Yeah.